What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast. This is your boy Ren, and that's your girl Dee. Dee, say what's up to the
Oh, I'm
people.
gonna fix my braids. Doing something. What's up to the people?
Dee, you always got the what is that? God is my publicist. I need to get more swag. You got alma mater. Oh, alma mater. Shout out. Today is a little crazy. We're gonna start something with you remember the genre of music. I believe it was called neo soul.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Now
The death, burial, and the resurrection.
so the neo soul was now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure you know this way more than I do. Neo soul was the music soul childs of the world.
Yes.
It was Erica Badu.
Mm-hmm.
It was Common. It was Flowetry. Okay, a little bit of
Common
Common.
is more conscious rap.
Okay. What
Because
about
he's
Flowetry? There's Flowetry in there?
Floetry, little Jill Scott,
Jill
little
Scott.
India Ari.
Yes.
Yeah, they in
Um,
there.
okay, I'm trying to think of more neo.
D'Angelo
D'Angelo.
was
I
just singing.
was about to say D'Angelo.
Lauryn
So
Hill,
Lord, yeah, how could we not forget
the
the
queen.
queen? So with neo,
Yes.
so when would you say? Because I love that stuff, but I want to say I stopped hearing stuff about neo soul 2005.
So sad.
Like I think it was around that time, give or take some years. What was your? I know you don't like favorite. Give me one of your
I
top.
don't.
Here we go. Give me one of your top neo soul songs.
Can I give you 3 that I
You
know
can
word for word? I know all the interludes. I know the intros, the outros, the
The
ad
fact that you
libs.
just said 3 right off so confidently makes me
Yes.
like, okay, you've thought
That's
of
that's that's
it.
my that's when I really started to I haven't thought of it. It's just part of my evolution.
Okay.
Um Number 1 is of course the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Okay. But
These
that's
are in
not a
no
song.
particular order.
That's not a song
Oh,
though.
I thought you said albums.
Songs.
Songs.
No, give me
Wow.
songs. Yeah, give me songs. In no particular order either. I would hate to say if you get to the top 3, they all good. So you don't have to do the whole 1, 2
Woo. Yeah,
songs.
songs is
Songs.
crazy. Um, I'm gonna have to go "Merry Go Round" by Music Soul Child. And so I'm the type of music consumer that I don't care if it's on the radio or not.
Okay.
I'm going down the whole list. So some people may know, some people may not. But
Okay.
"Merry Go Round," Music Soul Child. I gotta go with "Doo Wop That Thing," Miss Lauryn Hill.
'Cause you know
I
you
just have
better.
to.
Yes.
It's just so great. And the video was just so great.
Okay.
Um and I'm gonna go India Arie's so many good ones. I'm gonna go with The Truth by India
The
Arie.
truth? Okay, good. I thought you were gonna go with mine. I can give you "Video" by India.Arie.
Mm-hmm.
Not your average girl
First
from the
single.
video. Yes, that
Yes.
stays. For some reason, I'm not even gonna explain why, but this song puts me in a state of calm. And it's that all you gotta
I knew
do
you
is
was about to say that.
say yes. Don't deny what you feel. Oh, listen, I'm not even going. Listen,
What
that's
what what?
yeah, yeah. I go.
Oh.
It just goes like
Okay.
it goes. It goes. Um, and then like I said, in no particular order. The lastly, I would have to put. I knew I really wanted a Lauryn Hill song in there, but I'm not. I'm gonna do love. There's so many things I got to
I'm not
tell
mad.
you,
I'm not
but
mad.
love by Music Soul Child.
I'm not mad.
That it's a genre that I'm so sorry that like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's time, maybe it's the industry itself, but they shift these types of music in and out.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm not happy that it went away.
It didn't go away. It just
Okay.
wasn't on the radio. So
Okay.
so these people still Music Soul Child never stopped doing shows. He's still making music. He's still putting out records. So it's just not it's not the most popular, but it
Okay.
hasn't gone away for sure.
Well, I need
There's still a community. There's still a group of people that's consuming it for sure.
nice. That's what I need. I need to find it. I'm gonna do some digging, see if I can get
Yeah,
back tapped into.
go
Um,
see them live. They do
yeah,
like
I heard only bad things about going to see Lauryn Hill in
we're
concert.
not talking about her.
I'm just saying.
Although I've heard the only bad thing I've heard is her she's tardy. But
Yes.
I know people that have seen her and they said it was worth it. They said she gave it her all. She's still performing at a high level. Just her reputation of being late. Yeah. But I was because I would go see her, me
Okay.
personally. And I would just plan to not go to work the next day. It's gonna be
Exactly.
late. But
It's gonna be a late
she's
night.
one of those people that since I've been a fan since I was like 11. So
Right.
when I seen her on Sister Act 2. So once in a lifetime type of show that I would see. Um Music Soul Child still performing at like smaller venues, not stadiums, of course, but like jazz spots, like lounges, that kind of vibe with like 500 to 1,000 people. So you just probably just got to look up where he's at, but he'd be out there. He'd be out there.
Yeah, I'm down to go to a jazz vibe. I'm down with that. But on to the topic. What's up, guys? This is Ren from the Set Apart Podcast. Did you know you can interact with us and continue the conversation via our online forum? That's right. You can email us today at setapartpodcastteam@gmail.com because this is not just a podcast. This is a movement. We're looking forward to hearing from them. We're just going to get straight to it. Okay, we're going to make it a little awkward. Warning. This may get awkward for some of you viewers today. If you don't resonate with the topic today, I want you to put it in your own words. And I want to ask the real question. At any point in time, when it comes to your adult selection process, is there a pressure of any sort to bring back somebody of the same race? Now, hold up.
You got to define selection. What are you selecting?
So in terms of getting deeper, so when I say bring home, I always thought about the concept of bringing home, like, hey, this is serious now. This ain't just somebody going on date. This ain't no, we just trying to see or whatever. Like we like dang near. Only thing that's stopping us from being married is the ring and the yes. Everything else
Come
is
on,
locked
somebody.
in. It's locked in there. And so we've had conversations. I remember having a conversation, funny enough, with some guys in college, which hindsight, some of these guys that's in the room did marry outside of their race. Now, it's not the fact of whether you would or you would not. That's not what we're asking here. We're not asking whether you would or you would not. That's not what we're asking. The pressure to then bring in that Caucasian significant other, to then bring back in that Chinese, Japanese, like Hispanic, whatever, it doesn't matter. To bring in that other race significant other, was there ever any pressure? Did you ever feel any pressure to do that? Didi, what you got?
I didn't feel no pressure.
Zero.
No, because I kind of have always done things the way I wanted to do them.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt pressure. Um, I I have dated outside my race before.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't so much pressure. It was more like, let me brace myself for comments. Let me brace myself for questions, but not pressure.
Did you
But
ever
I'm a
feel like
woman. So
did you ever feel like somebody would did you ever feel like you went into a situation or you could go into a situation with your significant other and oh, I know such and such gonna say something. Oh,
yes.
I know such and such gonna say something. Oh, I know that person. I know why they looking. They looking, and I know why they looking.
Yeah.
So that didn't add any other pressure to the situation, or did it make or when you did date outside your race, did it make them feel uncomfortable?
No.
Okay.
It was a it wasn't even like a real explicit, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk through this type of conversation. It was just kind of understood, like, we know we're going to get second looks. We know we're going to, that was the main part. We know we're going to get second looks, but we're enjoying each other,
Right.
and people know who you are. Your people, your family knows who I am, and not everybody in your family is okay with this, but it didn't change our dynamic.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, I'm kind of used to doing things against the grain in general. Like, I was the first to go out of state to school. I try new things. I have friends of all different backgrounds.
Right.
I like different kinds of music. I like I kind of always been a little bit weird.
Right.
So I don't think it would shock anybody in my family, honestly, if I would have married someone outside of my race, or if I do in the future. But
Right.
I didn't feel a pressure
Yeah.
from my
And it-
family. Now,
so from your peers.
not the peers. There is this underlying cultural thing for people that I don't even know. There's this underlying, like, and I don't think it's pressure. It's more like, I know what they're thinking because they say it when it's not somebody that they know and love and have a connection with. And I think, yeah, I wouldn't call it a pressure, but it's kind of like this, like, oh, they're gonna say this. They're gonna think I don't like black men if I do this. They're gonna think that, um they're gonna make a lot of assumptions. But these are people that I don't know. So it's not really a pressure. It's just like, okay, I expect this kind of response, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that too. So when I had that conversation with people in college, and so keep in mind, we in the room with um, mostly American born black men, but and I think there was one white man in there. Mostly American born black men, but some of them had strong, and when I say strong African roots, I mean they're the first generation born in America.
Yeah.
And so
That's a whole
I was just
nother.
that's a whole nother thing. And so I'm so interested to know, like, hey, do y'all feel pressure? Because like I know that my parents or my upbringing is definitely not straight from straight from Africa, like first they're
Hmm.
the first generation to step foot on American soil type thing. And so the consensus for a lot of the black men in there, so probably not surprisingly, was yes, there's always pressure there.
Yeah.
Um,
Because there's a
and
different kind of, I would assume, there's a different, marriage is a little, it's multi-layered.
mhm,
It's not just about do you love her or not.
right. And so but it's also like now don't get me wrong. For the people who's listening to this, it never for the people in this room, I can firmly say for every single person in that room, it did not affect their selection process.
Hmm.
But the question wasn't whether we'll date outside of our race. That was a
Right.
definitely
That's
yes.
easy.
That was easy. Like we wouldn't think so. Yes. Before you finish the sentence, yes. The question was there pressure? Is there pressure to marry somebody of the same race as you? Now, you have, of course, like keep in mind when we talk about this, we talk about there is cultural differences. I will admit to you, as somebody who was raised predominantly around Black people, and I went to a high school of 1,500 to 2,000 people. We had count them 6 people who were not black at my school. 6. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so, um, and so when you talk about you coming from those areas, and then I go to college where, man, man,
The
shout
pool
out,
has changed.
shout out, but the world
Woo.
has changed drastically. And so the first time that I'm in a realm like that, and so if you'd have asked me in high school, I'd be like, "There's no chance." Everybody around me, look, come on, like what? I find the one that happens to just be miraculously walking down the street whom is not black. Um, but then in college, it's like, no, you're learning different cultures. People have different upbringing. College was the first time I ever heard of a casserole. Um, I'm serious. I've never heard of a casserole until college.
Ah,
Ever. I don't even know what that role. I didn't know what that word was. But anyway, it's the first time I ever heard of a casserole. And I thought somebody told me. Now, this was somebody I was dating at the time. I'm not gonna call her out, but I'm really mad because she messed up my mind. I was like, what makes a casserole a casserole? And she told me the
mm-hmm.
presence of what is it called? The white soup that they put in there?
Huh?
Cream of mushroom. That's what it's called. They said the presence of cream of mushroom soup makes it a casserole. And I
No,
was like, so you out here just making collections of stuff, putting cream of mushroom soup in there, and now it's a casserole? I'm
that's
not
the
with that.
craziest thing I heard today.
I heard that's what she told me. That's what I was told.
She can't
I
cook.
I went forward thinking that too, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good with y'all casserole. Like, I'm cool." Like, because then I start thinking about the names of casserole: green bean casserole, tater tot casserole, and I was like, cream of mushroom soup can't be like this good that you could just add it to anything, and it's just like a fan favorite. Breakfast
What in the
casserole,
world?
fruit casserole. I'm like, bro, y'all adding cream of mushroom soup to fruit?
That's
Nah,
so dumb.
I thought that for a long time. And so, like I said, keep in mind, I didn't hear about a casserole until college. I didn't know what that word was.
It's also where you went to college, what part of the country you went to college in.
Exactly. In the middle of Kansas. And if anybody's going to teach me about casserole and the life that I was not used to, it was them. And don't get me
Woo.
wrong, I learned a lot about a lot of different cultures. I made so many good connections there, but it was a culture that I was not used to. Like they literally operated differently. And so when when I had my first girlfriend outside, well, dated girlfriend, I don't know. I done had so many DTRs, guys. Like,
Ooh, Lord.
oh my goodness, like define a relationship. It was one, and I'm just telling y'all about all my
You
exes.
just testifying.
I'm just testifying that it was one part. It was one, like literally. I want to say it was a on and off ship for about 2 years, and in that 2 years, it was about 99 DTRs that led to nowhere. Um, but that's neither here nor there. Let's digress from there. Uh, anyway, but like you merge different cultures, and so then the question was asked after living in that atmosphere, do you feel pressure to do one or the other? And I'm like, man, like I wonder if I do, because the pressure wasn't like from people in my household saying, "Ooh, why are you doing that?" No, I knew anybody I brought home, if I deemed them worthy, my mom was gonna be like, yes, son, I want to get to know her, all this other stuff, and accept her like nothing ever was different, right? But there was a cultural pressure, of course, mainly from what is a good way to say this? The hoodest of black girls.
Mm.
They done stole another one. La la
Wait.
la. Oh
Mm.
my god, all this other stuff, and like I literally have had black girls say like, I had, oh my goodness, I had so
It
many.
was a real thing. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Because I
But
had that
why?
conversation with women,
But why is
and
that
I
a thing?
it's a lot of layers to that. So the sentiment that you what you just said, the all that comes from that kind of personality type
Hmm.
turning men off. And so they think, so you can internalize that to think, wow, so I'm too black. But that's when you equate blackness to being loud, hood, crazy. So that's one layer that I don't think we have time to go into
Let's
tonight.
abort
But
that. Let's abort the idea of that there's levels to
yeah,
blackness in general. I
no,
hate.
not levels to blackness. That's not
Oh,
what I mean. I mean levels to why that response is probably why you got what you got.
okay.
Um, so there's the stereotype part of it, But then there's, I think another part of that is, okay, it is the stereotype, but on the flip side of that, there are some women that feel the stereotypical black man only likes the stereotypical black woman.
Hmm.
So if we use your example, then a black guy from the hood, I won't even say hood. I would say that's not from the suburbs, that is
Exactly. Yeah.
the stereotypical, whatever you want to call it. He probably only is attracted to black women type that he grew up around.
Yeah.
But if she is um mild mannered, or she has different interests, or if she is um maybe she grew up in a different area, or maybe she didn't, but she just likes different things. Maybe she, I don't know, plays classical piano. And these are all stereotypes, right? But this is how you internalize life around you when you're a minority.
Yeah.
It's like I have to be the exception, or I have to be what they tell me I am. But
Mm.
if I'm the exception, then I'm not looked at as authentically black.
Right.
So if you know, so then I'll talk about me, because although I grew up in the hood, I have different interests, but I can still talk the language, right? So I grew
I
up,
talk.
I took horseback riding lessons. I played piano. I played basketball. I went to a school that had multiple cultures. Um,
They wrote the High School Musical off of you. You had to choose between being in the musical and going to hoop in the championship game.
you know what? That's not that far fetched, because I did have to choose between piano and basketball. I really did. I
Uh,
remember the day. I remember the day where I had to stop going to Miss Richardson's house for piano lessons because I chose basketball. That's a real thing. But anyway, um, but because of my interest, and because we as we grow older, we tend to date who's in proximity. And
yeah.
usually who's in proximity to you is people that have things in common with you, right?
Right.
So when I'm taking horseback riding lessons, okay, so but when I'm
Yeah.
hooping, it's a different vibe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then when I go off to school somewhere that's not at home, it's like, oh, okay. Like you said, you had 6 non-black people in your high school. Do the reverse. You know what I'm saying? You know what that's
Yeah.
like. So
Yeah.
then it's like, well, I'm not like these other girls that you think are a black woman. So my interests aren't the typical, aren't typically in line with other black men.
Right.
So who's in proximity to me is people that are other than me.
Okay.
But it's all about this perception of like, so when if a female, or if a woman has that response to you, you took another good one, it's because it's coming from that point of view, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, um he's the one that's like doing good in school, he has a good job, he's not getting in trouble, he's this, he's that, but we need more of the good ones to reproduce more good ones over here.
Okay.
And it's crazy that I'm using that word good ones, but that's the best way to explain it, because we're not objects, right?
Yeah, that's what they said though. That's what they say.
Right. But that's where that feeling is coming from. It's more of a frustration. And so we just use words that just help us get it out. But that's the feeling behind it, generally speaking. Because I had this conversation on a bus on the way to a basketball game with my teammates in college that approached me and said, D, can we ask you something?
You know, every single time stop right there. Every single time that's oh my goodness. I listen right there, that alone. I once had a girl, and I'm segue. It was a girl. I don't even remember her name, but it happened in college once again. And she walks up to me, and for the first time ever in my life has this ever happened to me, taps me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I have a weird question to ask you." And I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Can I touch your hair?"
Oh,
Didi, I was like,
Ain't nobody ever touched my hair, but I got some other stories about that. But yeah, that's crazy.
yeah. Anytime you start like that, but sorry, they come to you, you're on the bus, they say, Didi, can we ask you a question?
It was like, yeah, can we ask you a question? And I was like, yeah, what's up? Why is it that like other black girls on campus like don't like that we date black guys? And I was like, are you sure you ready for this conversation? So this think about the timing of this. This is pre-Instagram, this is pre-Twitter, this is barely Facebook. This is like a year into Facebook.
Okay.
Just like 2005 or 6.
Okay.
And I kind of gave the same explanation. Like, it's not so much that they don't like you dating, it's like when you date one, it's one less that they can.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this, if you want to use the word pressure, there's a pressure to perpetuate the black family unit because it always feels endangered. Um,
Hmm.
for a variety of reasons, but that's part of it is a frustration. So they're like, the guys that's doing well, that's a star athlete, that's getting high accolades and all these honor societies on campus, but he's dating you. He didn't
Mm.
even give me the time of day.
Mm.
So although it may not even be race, may not even be the reason, it just happens to be the result. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It could be proximity,
Yeah, you're right.
but
And
it looks like, again, that's what it looks like.
lost another
But
one, boss.
right, but it's really just y'all are in the same honor societies. So he sees you all the time. He talks to you all the time. Y'all work on projects all the time. You just happen to be not black.
Yeah. And it's crazy and the pressure is real because I've had so like I said, back to that room, we all what most of us said that we did feel the pressure, and it's because most of cultural things. It's like I don't know about other cultures, but I know that old black people can be definitely stuck in their ways. And when we talking about bending that, um, they're not really in a rush to bend that. And so I mean, but then you hear like other comments like there's certain comments that literally strike a chord with me. Not that I have ever been called these, but I hear them out there and I know they exist. Um, but stuff like oh dang, switched up for Becky with the good hair, huh? Oh really? Okay. Okay. And then like I literally had people ask me like and trust me, I'm not like I don't feel anything about this because I have like a thick skin when it comes to just random ignorant questions. But hey, do you ever feel like somebody asked me, do you ever feel like you had to or you have to when I was dating outside of my race, code switch? Like, did you have
Mm,
to like um
you couldn't be
um,
yourself.
you couldn't be yourself? Or I do realize this. Now, this is something that I have to bring to light, and people need to understand this. Depending on where you talk to me at, really depends on my dialect as to how I'm communicating with you. Now, if I'm just explaining, like if I'm excited or I gotta hurry up and explain this story and I'm saying whoop de woo and all this other stuff, like I need to realize my crowd, right? Because I'll
This
go
is
through
what you just said. Whoop de woo. They're like, who?
exactly like I'll go through a whole sentence and they like, bro, what is you talking about? Like, I understand, realize your crowd, like dialect. I understand the people who I can talk
But
to.
that's not code switching though.
Yeah, that's not code switching, but people see it as that. And I'm like, so just because I'm like not saying slang means I'm,
Yeah.
because I'm talking what you deem as proper,
Professional. Yeah.
professional, that's code switching. And so it's like so many things that I think is out there that to me helps apply that pressure. Not that you give into the pressure, but it helps apply that pressure.
Yeah. I it's definitely it's real. I do I have seen a shift in I have seen a shift.
Okay.
Some of it's based in stereotypes, some is based in trauma. But I mean, if you go to an elementary school today, it's like almost all of them are biracial or multiracial
Yeah.
because things have changed, and
Hmm.
it's just like, hey, we're here, everybody's all spread out, mixed in. It's no longer it's not as bad. I won't say no longer. That parts of cities are only black, only white, only Hispanic. And if you're not white, it's the poor neighborhood. So this is who we are. Everybody knows everybody. It's not like that anymore, significantly.
Right.
People can move how they want, people can earn how they want for the most part. And then you even have, people of our generation, they just straight up move to a whole another state if they just want to meet new people instead of feeling like
Mhm.
I owe it to my city. That's a whole nother episode. I can't stand that mindset. I owe it to my city I gotta go back to my hood. Ugh,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta stay here. This is where we from. Okay,
Yeah.
but why?
Hmm.
If you don't know why, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I think that has a lot to do with it. I think now we're in spaces that we didn't used to be in, whether in professional wise.
Right.
So we have access to different types of people that we maybe were shut out of before. So I really think proximity has a lot to do with who you date and also who you just be are friends with. Um and then the ideas that you're open to, because you even see it with high profile people um in various industries. Like, oh wow, he got a black wife. Okay. And now people are encouraging it, like, go ahead. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'll say this.
We definitely gave Dirk Nowitzki a black card. Listen, he married an African woman, showed up to an NBA game with a leftover plate with aluminum foil over it. At that point in time, we accepted him with open arms.
He is very well taken care of. That's when you come to work and it ain't in a container, it's just foil on your plate.
Foil on your plate.
Let me tell
Where
you how happy that man is.
Where did foil become the universal lid? Like that's what I want to know.
Hey, he didn't try to hide it.
I just put foil over something just now, so I'm not hating, but I'm saying when did it become the universal lid?
Listen, because we couldn't find the other lids.
You're right.
But yeah, I'll say this though. This happened in college as well. I was having a conversation. I think we were having a class discussion about multiculturalism in an actual class. And so we broke up into groups, and the question was asked, uh and it was in like a class like about the Bible, I think. But anyway, the question was asked, could you marry someone outside of your race? And the two people that I was in a group with both adamantly said, absolutely not. And I was like, how do you? I was so confused because
What was their reasoning?
they didn't have a reason. They just could not picture anything other than their mindset. Their Because my thought was, how do you know who you will not marry as
Hmm.
a single person? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how you could know that. But
Hmm.
they said, like, without even blinking or just like, no, I couldn't do it.
Right.
And I was like, how can you, like, that's not a basis to not, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, that's not a good enough reason to not marry someone or at least date someone or consider marrying someone
Right.
that you never met. You already saying no to people that you don't even know.
Right.
But it was like, no. And I was like, oh my God.
Do you think it's a portion of, as we talk about different cultures and coming from different places, do you think it's a purpose, like as a portion of just like those old black folks, like hey, yeah, like I just don't want to change my culture, or I feel like if I do marry somebody outside of my race, then maybe the things that I like about my culture will become watered down. Like, do you think it's something like that, or like try
In
to?
that conversation, no.
Okay.
In that conversation, I think when it comes, and one was a guy and one was a girl. So it was interesting because I think that when it comes to who men select, and you can obviously correct me, the way that men select, they think a little further down the line.
Yes.
And so maybe, even though he was young, but maybe he said no because there are some obstacles he didn't feel was necessary to jump over that he
Mm,
maybe anticipated.
mm.
Now, I didn't say the question wasn't, would you marry someone black?
Right.
It
It was
was just, would
outside
you
your
marry
race.
outside of your race? So
Hmm.
maybe it could have been that. Maybe it's the stereotypes again. I don't tend to like that kind of stuff where they eat unhealthy. And I did hear comments outside of that context from that person about things, and I'm like, it's when you grow up in a limited community, and you haven't been exposed to much, the world is very limited in
Right.
general, even though you don't realize that. You
Right.
think that this is the way, this is, I'm totally happy with this only.
Right.
And my mindset is, how do you know what will make you happy and you're only 20 something years old? Like, how do you know what it's almost like you're limiting the world that God created, but mostly out of fear of losing control of your world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it makes sense. I also met a girl. Her name was crazy. That's crazy. It's in college. Her name was Becky. So only reason why I'm saying her name is because Becky. Um, Becky. Her
Almost
name is
choked.
Becky. Um, and so like I'm literally coming from football practice one day. When you come from football practice, you go with your ice bags on, you making sure you're ready to rebound or whatever. I'm coming out of the athletic training room. And somehow, some way we get in a conversation, and she was like, I literally have never seen a black person in real life until I got here.
I've
She
heard
was
that.
like, I've only seen it on TV. And I was like, what world? In what world? Like once again, like thinking about my upbringing, thinking about her upbringing, and I'm like,
It's
I
crazy.
what? Like you've never seen one in real life? He was like, no. Like I stepped on campus and see my first black person ever. And I was like,
Yeah.
Becky,
Now imagine what kind of
Becky.
black person she saw on TV.
And that's crazy to still think that we do live in a world, not even a world. We do live in even a nation, even
A
America,
country, yeah.
country, where you can be in little pockets and have a culture that is totally oblivious to other cultures in America, in the country.
Hmm.
So we're not talking about somewhere, international. We're talking about right here. And so I do think that plays a part. People scared of different cultures and stuff like that, or they don't know enough to even pass judgment. So, for example, for Becky, like she only knows what she's seen on TV.
Hmm.
So whatever she's seen on TV is her current perception of what black people are.
Yep.
And to me, that's wild. And
Yeah.
so but here's the thing, I would understand then if she was like, no, I would never marry outside of my race because
Yeah.
she has no idea what that
And what
encompasses.
she has seen probably isn't appealing
For sure.
for a life partner.
For sure. And
Yeah.
so now you get to the end of that, and I like how we're doing this kind of like as an NPR um, podcast. But let's go to the end of the conclusion of me and those gentlemen in that room. We were all listening to each other story hastily, but the consensus was like some of them was Nigerian. It was like, hey, like I feel immense pressure. Like
Hmm.
I literally like am gonna pray again, pray again, pray again if I ever have to bring a significant other who's another race back home.
Or
Yeah,
just another ethnicity,
another
because
city in general.
a black American girl, even,
Yes,
because I've
yes,
seen
they
that,
said that.
like, in my personal friendships, and it's like it's like as soon as they meet someone who's also Nigerian, it's like, oh, thank God. I actually will probably give her the time of day and really invest in this relationship. And even if she's not interested at first, I'm gonna actually pursue a little harder because at least this will be a lot easier later on. Even
Yeah,
if the feeling's not mutual all the way, but it's almost like that ethnicity thing has maybe even a higher ranking than other factors that that other subcultures don't have.
right.
Like you win 10,000 extra bonus points if you're that. Then we could work on the rest of it instead of the other way around. Like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a bonus if you are, but I feel like you're the one for me. You know what I'm saying? It's
right,
like it's a whole thing.
right. And and the funny thing is that conversation probably happened 8, 9, 10 years ago, right?
Mm.
And so one of the people who was in that conversation, and he was adamant. He was like, "No, like forget outside of my race. I can't bring a girl that's not African. Like some type of African. That's the girl that I need to bring back." Fast forward to 8, 9 years later, he is now engaged to a Caucasian woman, and only thing I can think of during that whole like engagement. I mean, don't get me wrong, extremely happy to him, happy for him, but like now because we had that conversation, I can't help but think what
What are
happened.
you
Like,
doing?
yeah, like what happened? Like, did was it everything that you were scared of? Like, did 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 you walk in the room and they were like, "Hey, this is my girl,"
You
and
saw
the
a
only thing
glow.
you heard was, cheers will fly today," and you see something just thrown across the like, what is going on? Like,
Jesus.
Jesus,
Jesus, please.
Jesus,
Jesus, please.
Jesus.
And be like, what's that thing when the women smack their lips? It's so funny. Jesus, Jesus Christ.
Jesus, Jesus. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. Oh, oh my goodness. Listen, my watch is going off. But I truly wonder
That's
what was the
hilarious.
room like? And don't get me wrong, from what I know, she's an incredible girl. It's amazing. I'm so happy for her. But because he said that, that's all I can think about. That is all I can think about. And so for me, the the pressure, I would say there's pressure there.
Mhm.
Pressure never, I never been scared of a little pressure, so it will never ultimately decide my decision for me, make my decision for me. Um, but I also say that with there was only one time, and we weren't even romantically seeing each other, where I had brought a girl home to meet my mom, who was just a friend. And she
Why
was,
you do that?
I know my mom was pump faked like a mug. Um, and so she kept asking me about her. She was like, "Hey, like, um, where's such and such, and where's such and such?" And so here's the thing. Let me give you a little awkward story. So I bring this girl home. Well, we live in Southern California. The girl from Kansas visits Southern California. So I'm like, "Hey, yeah, come on, come soup, like let's hang out." She comes to my place of residence. We're home for summer. She meets my mom. And her name is, well, I can say it, you don't know her last name. Her name is Hannah, right? And so she didn't go to school with me. She's just somebody I knew from the grapevine. And so she's just a friend. We're cool. My boy Eddie was there. I mean, people who watch the show, y'all know Eddie. I've met him before. So it's her, and Eddie. Like it's three of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're cool. We Gucci. And so my mom meets her, and secretly, um, secretly, I had a crush on this girl. Let's just say that. Let me put
That's
that in.
why your mom ain't crazy.
She ain't crazy. Secretly, I had a crush on this girl. Like I don't even know if the girl knew that I had a crush on this girl. But anyway, she came back home, and the hard part about that, and I never even thought about it. Like, not even like I didn't think about the fact that I just let my mom meet a girl that she don't know. I did not think that. I didn't think that through. Like, because like we're not dating. Like it's a friend.
But you subconsciously wanted to.
I subconsciously wanted to. I did. Um, and so my mom met this girl, and like afterwards, It did not hit me. This is how slow I am, y'all. It did not hit me until like the fourth time that my mom was like, "Hey, how's Hannah?" I'm like, "Why do you keep asking me how's?" Oh, you
Because you
think?
brought her home.
Oh snap! I did not know. I did not know at all. I was like, well, at least I know now. I feel like a little bit more confident that I can do this because I did it on accident. And I had to
Yeah.
then, months down the lane, address my mom and say, hey, mom, sorry if I made some confusion. That is not my girlfriend. Like, that is it. It was crazy, but it was a good test trial run. So if you want to just have a little test and bring a girl home, maybe you should do that. I still don't know if it's
Well,
a good idea
at
or not.
least Miss Beverly was a safe place because that's not always the case.
That's not. She
Because,
really thought. She really thought. She really thought. And
but you
so
had a crush, so you kind of
I did have
did
a crush
play
though.
things out in your mind,
I did though. I did.
and
I
your
did.
mom knew.
And my mom knew that me and that girl never end up dating ever. Um, and yet and still, she would ask about her. Hey, how's Hannah? I'm like, dang, I did that. I'm sorry, moms. I did that.
And got her
But
attached.
for real. And here's the thing though, like I've like if my mom met a girl, she never remembers people's names. I'm talking about like your name could be Christina, she calling you Christine. Your name could be Mary, she's calling you where's Martha? Like you know what I mean? Like she is messing up people's names. So, like, keep in mind the fifth time she asked me about Hannah, she had to literally go through her name to figure out, oh, my son brought a girl home. Let me remember her name.
Yeah, she's important to him.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, so, hey, watch who y'all take home. All right. Hannah's an amazing girl still to the day. I'm sure I haven't talked to her in years. But like, watch who y'all take home. Cause your mom gonna think, yeah,
And
she
she
it
was
was
trying to be cool and accepting, and she was trying to be a team player,
she was. She
and you
was.
messed it up.
I did for sure. But
Speaking of moms, let me just say this because you asked about pressure in the beginning.
uh-huh.
This is where I have felt pressure before. I am a black woman who is raising a black son. And about the time that I was healed enough to get back out there
Mm-hmm.
in the I don't like the dating streets, but I guess that's what you young people call them.
The
Um
street.
yeah, I it was around the time where these things started coming to my mind where I'm okay, it's not just, and it was actually someone I was talking to someone. It didn't go far, but I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, how could he handle raising a black son?" And
Mm.
this is yeah, and so my mind started to get a little worried like cuz I have to consider both of us, not
Matters.
just
It
what I
matters.
want.
Yeah.
And this was around the time where our country was in an uproar about race relations, although we always have been, but it was like in your face with things that happened in the news, like George Floyd and a number of other events um, where racial disparities was like, bam, you can't make it up, you can't act like it's not there, right? So
Right.
there was that's when conversations like, black parents have to tell their black sons when they go out, there's a certain way to conduct yourself
Yeah.
just because I want you to come home every day.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that in my mind. And I'm like, but if I end up with someone who's not black, can they help me carry that for my
Yeah.
black son? So I started to feel not from external forces, but I started to feel like, okay, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Yeah.
But thank God for sound-minded people in your life that will be like, girl, don't even worry about none of that. Because God understands. God knows. You ain't got to worry about that. God knows what you need, and He also knows what your child needs.
Yeah.
So it did lift a lot of that. But that was a thing in my mind. Like, oh, wait a minute,
Right.
can this person handle that? Because it's going to be something that they probably didn't experience.
Right.
And how can you tell this little dark boy about being a man in his skin when you haven't? So I was like, okay, I really got to think this through.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that pressure today. So this was
Oh,
probably going on 4 years ago. I don't feel that pressure today, but it's a real thing, and I know it's a real thing for other people when you blend families for a
yeah.
multitude of reasons. But then you add that factor. Now, if you make it a factor, if you make it a thing, it can be a thing. But if you work through it, and maybe it's not for everybody, but it is something that parents think about.
Right. That makes sense. That's real. Be under
Yeah.
pressure. Do your thing. Sign it out. Sign it out, DD. What do you gotta say to the people? To the people who are struggling for it. Let me give you part one, and then DD will close it out. I care so much more about you being a citizen of heaven wholeheartedly before I care about your race. And this is why I say this, is because we do unfortunately have people who say they believe in certain things, no matter what it is, whether it's your faith, whether it's your job or whatever. You can say you believe in certain things, but that faith is not tested until things get hard.
Come on,
And
somebody.
now you start flipping. So I care more about you being a citizen of heaven than what your citizenship looks like. Didi, what about you? What do you got to say to the people who are under pressure?
I'm gonna echo what you said,
Okay.
because the safest place for your heart to be is in somebody that understands how much it's worth. And a lot of these a lot of these categories, and a lot of this stuff is man-made. Let's just cut to the chase. A lot of this stuff somebody made up, because if I have anything that I could use to feel more superior than you, I'm gonna use it, whether that be gender, race, whatever. But when it comes to being a kingdom citizen, when it comes to living out your purpose in this world, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what race they are. It doesn't matter if they're Nigerian or from Detroit. If you care more about their cultural background than their relationship with Christ, I don't it's never gonna it's not gonna work. If you have committed to your relationship with Christ, it could work,
Yeah.
but it could work better if that person values your heart the way they should. Um so yeah, it's not something that I'm concerned about personally. But if you are struggling and you're still unsure, and if you want your family to look a certain way, I would encourage you to not limit God, because a lot of people are a little bit happy when they could be fully happy because they
Mm,
told God, I want my household to look like this. Now I know
mm,
you probably got a plan for me, but I prefer this.
yeah.
And your list look real crazy right now. Because and here's my last statement. A lot of us make lists based on what we see on somebody else's plate. Oh, I want a little bit of that. I want that right there. I want what they got over there. And you haven't even looked at God's menu to know what's available to you. But you
Yee.
judging based on what the person next to you is doing.
Yee.
Rip your list up and ask God, what do you think is best for me? Because I don't know. I've only seen this much because I'm from East Oakland.
What is the best, God? What is the best?
And maybe I'm somebody's best, but because they have a different shade of brown than me, they said hi and I walked off. What if I'm his answer to prayer?
Hmm. What
But
if?
I'm tripping.
You're right. You're right.
Somebody somewhere is praying about you, sis.
Mm.
And you tripping, talking about you too, sir.
Hey, you too.
Becky might blow your mind. Okay.
Becky. Okay.
Hey, this is your girl Dee Dee from Set Apart with Ren and Dee Dee. Thank you so much for tuning in to this latest installment. Don't forget to subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts.